Welcome to the Parody, where we tally up the victims in our favorite movies. I'm Chelsea Rose, and today we're looking at Wilhelm Gustloff, released in 2024. This is the third film on the parody by Mr. Apple, and you've seen the other parodies of his movies I made, you probably already know what we're gonna be in for. That being a whole lot of bodies to count and a ship disaster. He based this off the real-life tragedy of the Wilhelm Gustloff in 1945. It was the worst disaster in maritime history, killing over 9,000, but it was not accounted for due to the nature of World War II. While the film starts off suspiciously like a war movie, it ends up being the usual fare. And that's not really a bad thing, since there's longer time to dwell on these characters and what they're in for. At an hour and 50, this is easily his longest film yet, and it has some solid action. Along with the action, we're gonna have some kills. Will this flashback to World War II prove to be hell for me to count? Let's find out and get to the kills. And those are two bodies, so that's what the movie begins with. We see another body lying on the side of the frame too. During the next minute of the scene, we see 7 more bodies next to some barbed wire fence. However, during this off-screen skirmish, one soldier survived. However, this guy is a bit too wounded, so one of the soldiers decides to shoot him with a flash. The 2 soldiers walk their way through the opening credits where 2 more bodies are featured. The soldiers continue looking forward in horror and disgust when they see a plane fly above them. Oh, and then it just crashes straight into a tower and makes it explode everywhere. Hell yeah! The front soldier, Corvin, tells the soldier buddy that he should probably be looking out for an attack. And the attack comes with deadly results. Firstly, I could see a dead soldier right there as this soldier runs away. Then I can see 3 more as he continues. I can also add 1 more right here, another 2 until this guy gets shot, 4 more including this shot guy, another 1 at the bottom, another 3 as they run through the trenches, and 3 more as they all get blown up. And finally 3 more bodies until a whole black gate exploded. Holy shit, that was awesome! No, yeah, why not blow up a few more just for good measure? And if my math is correct, that should give us a total of 27 for this war scene. A medic runs through the trenches to find that Corvin's been shot in the arm. They can't do anything about it because the medic doesn't have a med kit and the soldier doesn't have his gun. And with all this chaos, this guy can't one-man stand off on his own. With nothing they can do about the situation, they're gonna get the guy who is fighting to shoot him. He can't muster up the courage, but the soldier just keeps on egging him on. Alright dude, I think he gets the point. Fucking told you, dude. It's gonna take a prayer to get out of this situation, as the war is still warring. As this guy's running, I can count 1 blurry body in the background and that clear body before another one falls down. We cut to the sky to get some aerial text for this. We decide to go west in another classic military maneuver. However, that proves to be a bad idea when you see a Soviet guy. Without any ammo in the plane, we're gonna have to make a cutoff somehow. We decide to go for it anyways, and it actually pays off. Oh, maybe it pays off a little too well when that plane goes down and crashes into yet another tower. With the mission a success, they head off to, wherever we're gonna head off to. Oh wait, we're just heading off to this Tattle Swastika. It actually led us over to a cabin where you get to meet characters Remy Schroeder and Joseph Newman. Joseph says they're in the outskirts of Gotenhafen, a real-life town that's now named Gdynia in Poland. The city was occupied by the Germans in mid-September of 1939, and it stayed that way until 1945. It had a minor role in the Katyn Massacre of 1940, and it also had a bit of a concentration camp stuck off within city limits. Today, it is now the 12th most populated city in Poland, with a population of about 250,000. It also has something to do with the Wilhelm Gustloff itself, since it was the last place it took off from in January 1945. Remy just wants to get out of there, but this character named Dieter Meyer says that's probably not a good option. I mean, yeah, he does have a fair point. Then we got characters Wolfgang Albrecht and Renee Bauer just even wondering what happened. They determine that several people are locked away inside this cabin and that they are some of the survivors of the battle. Then we got this evil-looking mofo named Fritz Schneider who's pissed at him for saving his life? Or maybe because he suspects that this place is a Soviet, not Union. Anyways, besides how sus the Soviet suspicions are, they get to knowing each other pretty quickly. We also get to know that Joseph is kind of the reason all of them are in this place at all, because he bought this place from the ground up. Ever since then, he's been using it as a place to keep refugees safe. We also get to meet new characters like Alexei Ackerman and Esme Fletcher. Since Dieter's the leader of all of this, he has to explain to them why we're even here in the first place. Turns out everyone in here has a slight knowledge of each other based on their experience on the battlefield. However, one person who couldn't make it was Mark.
Was that the bite of 87?
Last he checked, he was still alive, even though he had his leg missing, and was complaining that everything had a hurt. Fritz then interjects the story to tell everyone about a friend of his named Carter, who 2 years ago joined him in scouring for food. However, one day when he and Carter were searching for food, they ran across a Russian Stuka, which was diving towards them. It crashed into a building, and some of the debris managed to land on top of Carter directly. Carter's bones and organs were everywhere, and he was screaming in pain, so what Fritz did was killed him with his rape cage. Holy fuck. However, since we never met Mark and Carter, I won't put them on the count. For some reason, the entire group decides to go to sleep after hearing Fritz's disturbing story. They woke up pretty quickly when they realized the Russians are coming! The Russians are coming! They initially decide to stay inside, but once the building starts crumbling down with fire, they all decide to get out. Glad they did, because this Russian would have killed more people than just himself. After that, we're greeted to August Hoffman and Bridget Hamlin. When both of them hear the sound of a plane explosion, they get out of the car. Pretty lucky for our group, because they're found right before they leave. They all decide just to break on this person's car and then just steal it. Holy We're on their way to the Guttenhafen dock store, and a few really tense scenes of them trying to get on the car. And remember, all of these people are doing this on an open car. That's impressive. In fact, this entire upcoming scene is a great example on how Mr. Apple has improved in his filmmaking. Like, damn, a shot that flies way up into the air? He isn't messing around with this one at all. This is one really impressive set piece, including this part where we're almost crushed by a falling building but managed to escape from it at the last second. As he drives through the ruined cities, there's someone else that isn't as lucky as him. Because that driver crashes into a lot of destruction and is crushed by another falling building. After the perilous conditions of that city, Joseph wants them to slow down, but they're not going to do that anytime soon. Those fast conditions almost lead to Esme falling off the car while it's moving. Alexei gets her back up and she thanks him because she could have died. Oh, nope, make a correction. Correct that to I died. Also, damn, Alexei might have just gotten cock-blocked by a bullet. The bullet came from this text on the screen that quickly reveals the person named Wagner Kohler. I don't know why the hell this guy decided to come in because he and these people have had no beef at all. The people on the car are equally shocked, but they just want to know what he wants from them. August, as the owner of this car, tells Dieter that there's a gun in the cabinet that has a silencer on it. However, someone's gonna make a decision that's gonna make them not need to use that gun at all. Alexei just jumps onto the other car, probably because he got cucked by a bullet. Wagner decides he's not going down with these two. With Wagner gone and Alexei hijacking the car, he sends both of them down into this very, very, very deep canyon. Like, wow, that's a lot. You can stop. Oh, okay. Nice explosion. Great. The others are driving by a Deus Ex Planchina makes a building explode and sends one of its pieces flying towards them. It hits the car, causing a fantastic car crash that looks straight out of something like Family Guy or something. At the side of the crash, everyone is injured, but they all seem to be doing okay. You see, even she says she's alright. Joseph also seems to be doing okay, and... Hey, what is that? Oh. That's a gaping hole in his chest. Yeah, what a waste of a kill. We're not even gonna know what happens to him for another hour. However, aside Joseph, everyone else is actually fine. The remaining characters head onto a train where they get some medic outfits on to disguise themselves on the ship. A bit later on January 30th, 1945, they reach the occupied town of Guttenhafen. As Remy becomes a pro at being the spy, the others manage to sneak their way over to the Wilhelm Gustloff. They get on, and at 12:25 p.m., it seems pretty damn crowded. Inside a room on there, they encounter Max Schneider. Turns out he had crashed and he lost his leg, but thankfully he's still alive. Fritz also introduces Max to the Soviet. Dieter still tries to defend himself, but Fritz responds with, "Oh, fucking yikes, let's get the hell out of here." Well, ain't this a perfect scenario? Remy gets Dieter out of here, so he's able to explain why Fritz thinks he's a Soviet. The only reason is because Fritz woke up for a second and just didn't get it. Back to where Fritz is, they have to make sure everyone is still alive. Hey, look, they're making sure Bridget's alive. Great. But she's not responding and she's been in a crash recently, so... Welp, I'm gonna have to add Bridget to the count and I'm gonna have to redo so many feature graphics I did before this. Eventually, her dead body is hauled away and disposed of. While it's rough for them, we get to meet a few new characters like the helmsman Hines, 4th Captain Kohler, and 3rd Captain Sonny, and Officer Thomas. With all the characters met that we're going to be following, we can finally leave Germany. Oh, but aside from Second Captain Wilhelm's on. He's here to tell everybody on the bridge that the ride may be kind of hectic since there's twice as many people on board than regular capacity. However, everything seems to be going fine as of now, and we even get to meet a new character, Johann Tossig. However, Johann's gonna have to wait until later as Renee has found out that Wagner's on the ship. She tells Wolfgang about this, and all of this is gonna be a major issue because we just have a killer on the ship. We also get to meet Alicia, and it's revealed that she's in the pool room, which has been retextured into a medic's quarter. At 5:30 p.m., Renee and Wolfgang reminisce about Alexei. There's a sense of respect for him, because if it wasn't for him, everyone would be dead. Wolfgang has that same sense of respect for his parents, since they died in 1942. During his first battle, he even thought he wouldn't end up like them, and dude, that's seriously messed up. However, as always, we never met them, so I'm not gonna put them on the count. Wolfgang gets kind of philosophical for a second as he tells Renee that all of us were probably meant to die from the very beginning. Now we're here with Fritz and August, and he's asking how the car actually crashed and that he saw something in it. All that happened was this kind of flipped over and everybody was just okay after that. But it also serves as a way to bully Max. Later that night, we get to meet the actual captain, Frederick Peterson. He's hearing the battle to tell Wilhelm that the torpedo boat that was escorting him seems to have mine detection gear knocked out. With everything knocked out, it's going to be harder to detect mines since they're everywhere in these sort of shallow waters. However, Frederick says that the torpedo boat will hopefully be able to take care of submarines and that they should head for deeper waters instead. Wolfgang and Renee are still out this late, and he asks her if she remembers Corbin. He described Corbin as blonde, which causes Renee to tell Wolfgang about how she was at camp and they all wanted her to die just because she had black hair. She didn't want any part of that no longer, so she went to a military vehicle and basically got shipped off to Poland. She only is here right now just because she lied about her age. And here, I'll just let a special guest tell you how old she is.
She's 16!
And it also turns out Wolfgang's joined the army quite young, being 17 himself. Fritz and August leave Max and they get into a short little argument. However, the car crash plan to make sure they'd all die didn't work in the end. However, a camera pan up shows that someone else had the exact same plan. Wagner, who's just chilling in the hallway. He spits out some stuff about wanting to kill Dieter, and both of them run away. Fritz almost gets killed by Wagner, but he's saved by throwable Emily Porters. Turns out that Alicia's decided to stop boring herself. Wagner continues the chase, but they manage to get into the cabin before they die. Everyone else gets caught up that Wagner's back on the ship, and they just want him dead. Also, Max is in the lounge where Johann Tossig is sitting with him just because he's Johann Tossig. Further news is that a minesweeper unit is entering the area so the mines can be cleared out for the ship. Frederick wants to make sure that it's a natural signal, but Thomas is told to turn on the navigation lights. That's really dangerous since being on a German ship in 1945 is an easy way to get killed. But that also doesn't stop the kids of today from becoming mini Adolf Hitler, so who knows. However, danger's already here since this bizarre adventure-looking guy is killed by Wagner. And screw that, more danger since the torpedo boat didn't quite get the message. That means it's time for what Mr. Apple's always used to, boat disasters. The torpedo reaches the crowded ship, and already I can count one guy falling off. I also use this time to count a maximum of 10 medics in the pool room, since I don't think they're getting out of there in time. It doesn't take long for the main cast to realize that they're stuck in some serious shit. As they note that they've been hit 3 times by something, I'm gonna count 10 more passengers. First in this cramped hallway, there's a passenger who's been trampled. Then, since it's hard to make out what's going on in this place, I'm gonna count 9 more passengers who either get trampled or get caught up in a crush. There's ragdolls everywhere, but I'm doing my best. Eventually, among all the running, the main characters conveniently stumble upon each other. Hello, Dieter. I've come to talk to you about your car's extended warranty. Aside from wanting to kill Dieter, Wagner's here to tell them that Renee is locked in a cabin. After a botched lifeboat launch, it's time to count some more kills. Firstly, this idiot who falls off, a guy you can barely see getting trampled, and 2 more guys who ignore the railing. Avoiding the count right now are Alicia and Dieter, who stumbled in the Wolfgang. They're looking for Renee, who's locked in a cabin, so they go searching for her. The first room they look in is one with an open door, and I hope nothing of note is in here. And fuck, it's a half-decapitated passenger. But aside from that, they find nothing else that can lead to her. Meanwhile, Fritz just wants to cut their losses and get inside a lifeboat and not look for Renee at all. Well, Fritz, judging by the kill graphics on screen and the sounds I heard outside, don't do that. And yes, the number of 60 I just provided is an estimation, based on how many people are on the ship and how many lifeboats there were. They looked for Renee for so long, we cut to Johann and Max in the same room. Johan's a minor character and he is kind of funny, but it sucks that he was voiced by a weirdo. Yeah, same guy that did Lawrence in Poseidon Legacy. Eventually the group gets to a locked door and surmise that it's locked. They try going through the porthole, but they're too close to the waterline and no one's gonna fit through it since it's too small. The Ever-True theorized that she might be even lower than that, although they can't get down there because of a fallen pipe. Remy successfully gets down, but it's gonna be quite difficult for the others to do the same, as water is slowly rising. This near-water trio is saved by Remy, who managed to get to the door that was locked. Although those three survive a little bit longer, Renee is still stuck inside a wooden cabinet. Water barges in, and it turns out it was that exact same room that had the door open. It's just they couldn't just bother to look inside that cabinet, I guess. As water slowly rises, you realize that she's not gonna get out of there. And in fact, it's one of the more disturbing scenes of the film. It's really claustrophobic, and after a few more shakes of the cabinet, Renee finally drowns. The surviving characters get back up to that higher level, and Fritz says that Renee has already been killed. However, Max is still on the lounge, so Wolfgang leaves to go get him. With everyone on the bridge worried, it's gonna get worse from here. That's proven when this one medic just ragdolls into the water. And if that wasn't enough, 5 people inside a lifeboat fall into the water and drown shortly afterwards. In one of the halls, Wagner manages to stab Fritz in the stomach. Even though he's about to die, Fritz decides that the block button isn't enough. I want Dieter dead. That means he has to rat out where Dieter currently is. In another place, we see Johan with a sprained ankle. Since he can't get up from it, and this is the last time we see him, I'm gonna add him to the count. Now is also when I'll add 4 dead waiters I can see in the lounge room as it goes from side to side like GameCube Daisy Cruiser. One of the people in the lounge room that isn't dead, however, is Max. It seems hopeless for him as the lounge starts to burst from the walls, but that's when Wolfgang comes in to save him. He enters, but he should be advised that only one chair is the only reason Max isn't on the count right now. However, Max has a change of heart when he realizes the glass is way too broken for Wolfgang to clutch this one out.
I don't want more people to die.
Why does he sound so calm saying that? As Wolfgang makes a run for it, Max realizes that he should have gotten out of the room when Johan came down to sit with him. But he never got out of the room, so that means he's gonna be added to the count right now. However, Wolfgang just stayed right behind the door. Sir, you're about to be flooded when all that water comes in. And wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happens. The buds are chilling out and oh, okay, Wagner's been stabbed. Because of Wagner's now lack of control and all these shots of people running around on the ship, Fritz guides him up to where Dieter is. So now, Wagner, you can meet Dieter, and Dieter, you can meet Wagner, and, okay, I guess you're just gonna have an exposition dump. Great. Wagner's been stalking everyone because Dieter failed to kill at least 100 Germans, so now Dieter's gotta die. But I mean, like, oh god, they've wiped out his entire bloodline by now. Oh my god, that kid's model is literally just Dieter but scaled down. Holy shit. Yup, Dieter, you heard that right, and so did us, audience. His entire family's dead just because he couldn't kill 100 Germans. Make him crack that Fortnite and he would have gotten that in about 7 to 10 matches. Man, I can't believe it was gonna burn down the shed and wondered how much time we have to leave. We also get to see why Joseph died over an hour ago, and it was all because of Dieter, who had to shoot him because of his 100 German killing spree. Now that Wagner's exposition machine has given out on him, he falls to the ground. Thus, Wagner is stabbed through the head by Fritz, as he served all the purpose he had to fill throughout the movie. However, August knew about a ton of that stuff, but didn't decide to tell them until right now. Fritz gets pissed, and he turns into a serial killer as he slits the throat of August. See, August? You should have told us in the car instead of the exposition dump! Over at the bridge, we have breaking news. The helmsman, the 4 officers, and the 2 captains can safely be added, as they're all gonna drown eventually. And yes, I'm counting the other 4, even though we don't explicitly see them on screen, unlike we did with Heinz, Thomas, and James. Meanwhile, the surviving characters are chasing away from Fritz in another scene with everyone just running around. We even get some wide shots, and thankfully I can't count on anybody falling off the ship like a loser. Amongst all the chaos, Alicia falls and gets stuck to the side of the boat. Firstly, I'll be counting this motherfucker who slips off the boat. Then this lifeboat of 5 passengers takes Alicia along with it as it slides off the boat. The skirmish between Dieter and Fritz continues into a hallway with an accident. Fritz argues that he set him up and is the reason that Joseph and Esme are dead. Fritz, I'll agree with you on Joseph being killed because of Dieter, but you also gotta remember that he's technically also at fault for Alexei dying because Esme got shot and Alexei, bullet blocked. While Fritz is going insane, Dieter goes for the axe, but he stops him before he can get it. However, Dieter only underperformed in the German killing Olympics just so he could survive. However, Fritz just turns that around and it's like, what is his logic now?
Because, now you're going from him not killing 100 Germans to him all of a sudden wanting to kill people just to keep his family alive. Just choose one. Would you rather him kill all those Germans or just have his family killed? Choose a side, dude!
Dude, I'll say it again. You are seriously messed up. Then Fritz proceeds to pull the people are dead because of you trick, and I'd agree, but
Think of this as the car.
You literally just killed August 5 minutes ago. The two then separate, and if Dieter wants to kill Fritz, then just go, dude. They have more back and forth bickering about who's better than the other before we remember that, hey, Remy exists. As Dieter pushes Fritz down, Remy walks in to see what the fuck is going on. And by that, I mean the now gaping hole that's in Fritz's head. Holy hell, Remy went at that one twice. But aside from that, they're still pretty doomed as the ship is almost sank completely. Look, everyone's turning into ragdolls and shit. However, of the ones I'm sure of, I'm only sure that 4 people actually get killed because they fall off the ship. With imminent death coming for the both of them, they might as well just let out their final thoughts. All Dieter wanted to do in the end was be a better person, but he couldn't because he was too scared to do so. But also, Fritz has known all that from the start. That exposes something Fritz could have done towards the start of the movie that would have alleviated all of this from happening. He could have just told them that Dieter had some sort of mission that he failed to do and just executed him right there. I mean, I want to cause some shock, but I mean, they probably would have gotten it, right? But in the end, it still got his family killed, and he has a deep amount of regret for it, and he can't even say sorry for it. So then where do I stand on who's at fault here? Well, I think it's both Dieter and Fritz. Well, yes, Dieter's war failures did lead him onto the Wilhelm Gustloff in the first place. I think Fritz alleviated that by not telling them anything about it. Although Fritz definitely is at fault for there being no survivors of the main characters of the movie. However, in the end, both reconcile on their fates because they're just gonna die down here. Sure enough, above the surface, the ship is completely sunken, which means I can now count Remy and Dieter as dead. Before the credits roll, we get an infographic telling us that 9,400 refugees died aboard, making it the worst disaster in maritime history, and that due to the nature of World War II, it's not accounted for. However, the movie ends with some final statements from Remy, which are repurposed from throughout the movie. Well, all except for...
Remy, as you can see, you are dead now. Why do you even bother? Why did you think Fritz was wrong when he said everyone was going to die no matter what? You're pathetic. You'll never find peace in this void, stuck with me and everyone else. Goodbye.
Shit hits deep. You know, like that ship did, or you know what I mean. Did this voyage into Nazi-era Germany manage to net us a couple extra kills? Let's find out and get to the numbers. What is that? We counted 179 kills of Wilhelm Gustloff. The victims consisted of 97 men, 22 women, and 60 unknowns on that lifeboat just because we only heard of them and not saw them. That gives us this deep sea pie chart. This is the second highest kill count of any Mr. Apple shit movie, only falling 11 short behind Roblox Titanic Reimagined. With a runtime of 110 minutes, Wilhelm Gustloff had a kill on average every 36.87 seconds. I'll give Amethyst Flamethrower to Renee because honestly the scene is terrifying. It's disturbing, and because of how long the scene goes on for, you really feel that she's actually drowning in there. That's what makes it such an easy pick for this award. And for Broken Pistol, it's probably going to be a bit shocking to you, but I'm actually going to give it to August, simply because I saw no reason for him to actually die. Sure, he was holding information, but I would have liked it for at least someone to survive this ordeal. And that's it. Wilhelm Gustloff was released in 2024 and as of now is the latest Mr. Apple movie. He has another movie coming out early next year, and I'll get to that sometime within the crammed schedule of 2025. Until then, I'm Chelsea Rose, and this has been The Parody. Thanks a lot for watching this parody, and fuck was that such a long overdue parody. I was originally gonna have this out in October, then I got delayed to November, and now it's coming out right now after a month-long drought of no parodies. Sorry it's been so long since the last parody, it's just... There's has been some stuff, man. However, things can now speed up, and on the first, you're gonna get the pre-hiatus segment of BFDIA. Thanks for watching and understanding.